Alright guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over a pretty entertaining article that is not going to surprise any of you at all, especially you younger guys in your 20s, which is titled, The Young and the Dateless, Why Gen Z Millennial Men Aren't Approaching Women Anymore. And a shout out to David for sending in this story. And guys, this article comes from the New York Post. It came out a couple days ago. And like the title said, it's all about how young guys simply are not approaching women anymore, or they've scaled back dramatically. And why is that? Well, there's lots of reasons, many of which you know through personal experience. We can go into the level of attitude that is out there nowadays, ego, the delusion of self-worth, and simply treating guys that are pretty much in the bottom 90% like dog crap. And that will do it. Not to mention how guys, if they act friendly, could actually be labeled as being harassing and things like that, and simply realize it's not worth it. But interestingly enough, upon polls and surveys, the vast majority of young women out there want to be approached, as they say, in the high 70s or so. Women in their 20s, 30s, even 40s, they want to meet a guy in public. It's like part of the whole romance theme thing, like a romance story and all that. But the devil's in the details, because the question is, what guys do they want approaching them? And usually it ain't the bottom 90%. It is a certain percent. But anyhow, guys, this is all about multiple different guys chiming in why they are backing away, and also different women chiming in that they want guys. But you all know it's one thing about what they say and what they do. And it's no wonder how things are nowadays. And you can't blame the guys out there. But what's always funny is when you hear the complaints and the whining and complaining that no guys approach me. Well, when guys think they're going to be bugged about being harassing you or something like that, you can't blame them, amongst many other things. So it starts off, says here, like many American men of his generation, Ryan Kessler, 28 years old, is terrified of talking to women. Smack! Okay, let's not get carried away, Ryan. Terrified? You shouldn't be terrified to talk to anybody. But you can be terrified of what could happen, potentially, but not terrified of them. God's sakes. We want to be men here, not manginas. But it's not a lack of smarts or swag that makes a single Manhattanite hesitant to approach women in the wild. It's the fear of being mistaken as toxically macho, bone-headed creep. Well, who cares if they think that? But you can care if they think that and try to report you. Kessler told the Post that when trying to win over a potential love interest, the last thing he wants to do is be considered a jerk who makes ladies cringe rather than swoon with a clumsy pickup line and unwelcome advances. He says, I never want to make the other person feel uncomfortable, and I want to be respectful. A cybersecurity analyst told the Post, some girls don't want to be approached at all, so I'm always trying to err on the side of caution. As a result, Kessler said these days his interactions with women are very few and far between. Although he's on the hunt for the happily ever after, he says, I want to find the one. Smack! So, this first guy they choose, and I should have given advance notice here, clearly you can see by the things he's saying, his attitude, although he's in some aspect trying to protect himself, you can tell he's your typical nice guy. Because typical nice guys worry, I don't want to offend her, or I don't want to make her uncomfortable, and that type of crap. Do you think your average chatter Tyrone think that? No, not at all. I don't blame guys who want to protect themselves in case of an overreaction, but you can tell here. And guys like this could be, on the outside, good-looking guys, have good jobs, good income, but if they approach any girl with that lack of confidence and that, I'm sorry to bother you, that type of thing, of course they're going to be turned off and repelled, and even probably think they're a creep. I got to mention that, because I can't let that slide, because I can tell this guy's like that. They're not all like that, but this guy is. And the one, come on here, there ain't no such thing as the one. That's crap in the movies. Kessler considers himself a good guy, but still has difficulty at times mustering up the courage to approach New York women at coffee shops, bookstores, and even subway platforms. Well, that's part of the problem. New York women. That takes it to a whole new level of attitude, because they probably have all watched Sex and the City and think they're all little Carrie Bradshaws and the name of the other chicks in that show. I don't want to bother them, the wannabe lover boy said, conceding that he's not as timid when it comes to making the first move on dating apps such as Bumble or Hinge. Singles are on there to be digitally approached, yet all of the time in person. Women are not out there to be approached. So it's kind of odd, the 28-year-old pointed out. Well, that's the thing. They're going to claim they do want to be approached, but they don't want to be approached by a guy like this. The top 5%, no problem. They can say anything and the girls will swoon. But if you're average Joe, unless you got something about you, at best, they ignore you and politely reject you. At worst, they're belittling you in public and or saying they're going to call the police or something like that. Or ew. Which, that could happen to enough guys, of course, and make them not want to approach them. Well, not wanting to come off as pushy is a concern shared by nearly half of single men in the U.S. who grapple with approach anxiety per a 2025 report. Researchers determined that perception of being labeled as creepy significantly impacted American men's willingness to interact with women. And 44% of 1,000 men reported that this fear reduces their likelihood of initiating contact. Right there. Like I said, if you've been rejected enough times publicly, and it's one thing if a gal ignores you or politely rejects you, but if a girl is like really nasty to you about, and I'm sure it's happened to a lot of guys, it's happened to me, I'll be honest with you, or they say they're making a big scene, like you're harassing them, how many times does that have to happen before you're like, nah, no thanks, I'm done with these a-holes? Seriously, and that way you can't blame guys. It's an unfortunate trend that seems to clash with what the majority of single ladies actually want. Listen to this. Apparently, 77% of women between 18 and 30 years old and 68% between 30 and 40 hope to be approached more, according to the insights. By who? We all know it ain't the guy from the beginning. It's the top 5%. And those guys can pretty much say anything, and they'll just be like, ooh, because they know he's a top guy. If anything, Liv, a 20-something and part-time Long Islander, has the utmost respect for men her age who summon the spirit to appropriately and politely make a pitch for her heart. She says because it's so admirable in this day and age to actually have the nerve and kahunas to go up and do that, she said in a social media clip. However, men still need to tread lightly when doing so. She says the problem is a lot of men pursue women knowing that the woman is not interested in them, said a lifestyle content creator in a trending video. Well, a lot of guys do that. A woman is clearly not interested. After a while, a guy should be able to know the signs she's not interested and keep trying, and that'll piss him off. It doesn't take a genius to be able to tell if a woman's not into you. Because guess what, guys? If a woman likes you, it's obvious, at least to most of us. She says, I cannot tell you how many times I had been diplomatic and respectful while declining a man's advances, and it has led to me being borderline harassed. I've had men follow me. I've had men grab me, she added. Well, that's not cool. That's warranted to feel unsafe and respond accordingly. If a guy's fucking following you towards your house after you're leaving someplace or grabbing you, that ain't acceptable. Connell Barrett, a 14-year New York dating coach, stands behind how Viv and most women feel. He says, respect does not mean retreat. The single straight man should still lead the dating dance in this courtship phase to a certain extent. Barrett told the Post, women aren't saying don't come talk to us. They're saying don't objectify, harass, or disrespect us. Yeah, but then there's what they say and what they mean and what they want. Because guess what? Last time I checked, I'm sure Chad and Tyrone, your typical bad boys, objectify them, disrespect them. I mean, they treat them like a fucking cowboy ribeye steak, and they don't care. But if your average guy treats them nicely, and they don't like them, ew, he's harassing me. Really? And just for approaching, not following her home or grabbing her arm when she walks away. Since rejection is another fear that young single men face, Barrett, whose clientele largely consists of hetero men under 35, suggests they ditch the mental gymnastics of what if and instead approach women with grace rather than angst. Well, you're going to get a lot further approaching a babe if you go there not acting scared shitless, you know. They'll see that a mile away and turn them off. You can't give a shit. You have to get to the point you don't give a shit. Adopt a new mindset, he says. You're looking for love, which is very human. No, they're looking for pussy. They're not looking for love. It's okay to say hello to a woman out in the world as long as you do it with the right measure of empathy and charm. Empathy? Stick to charm. However, it seems the sweet, charming route might not always be the best option, at least according to Grant Greenlee, a 24-year-old actor and model who has taken this approach both in person and on dating apps like Hinge and Raya, to no avail. Now the Texas native is completely done and with wooing would-be sweeties altogether. He says, I'm never doing it again, and I mean that. I don't care how it impacts my dating life. Greenlee told the Post, approaching women today isn't worth the hassle. Right here. And again, he's obviously under 90%. For those guys, yeah, you're invisible. For Greenlee, the final straw was a recent attempt to say, hi, how are you? To a looker who immediately shut him down with a cold, disapproving look, followed by an ew, who are you? Response from another single woman he attempted to chat up at the club. Well, if he's doing this in New York City, and he's a club, and these are gals in their 20s in their prime when they think they're so amazing, and every other guy out there's dog shit, enough of that will do that to you. Be like, to hell with him. But here's something I want to point out, guys, and it's important to say. If you are a guy that you're in your 20s, this is the time to focus on your grind, your purpose. If you're in school, focusing hard to do well and get that degree and graduate, if it's something sensible majoring in, or certification in that trade, and busting your butt in your 20s to make something of yourself, and taking care of your body physically, looking good. Because I assure you, when you get to your 30s, these same gals that are rejecting you, you're going to be rejecting them, because then they're going to be panicking because they're getting to the big 3-0. And they want a ring, and they know their time is up, and the biological clock and all that. And you guys have focused on yourself and said, now I'm taking a break from all this bullshit, because they'll be chasing me one day. They will. Now, it doesn't mean you got to if you walk around with a nasty look on your face, or you don't take care of yourself, they're going to ignore you. But if you're doing well for yourself and take care of yourself, they will make it easier to, and you had the ability to do the rejecting if you so choose. But just remember, if they're chasing after you, and there's nothing's changed about you in terms of your personality and your physique, remember, they're only doing it to get in your wallet. But if you have improved yourself on multiple fronts, sit back, they will come to you. Trust me, I know. Just want to mention that. I know I interrupt a lot, guys, but I got to say these things and point things out. We're here to be entertained, but also learn shit along the way. Anyhow, he says here, dating is not how it was back in the day. Our dads didn't have to worry about phones and computers warping people's minds. Nowadays, guys, including the ones who aren't creeps, get posted online as a joke when they ask a woman out on a date. There's this diluted idea that all men are out there to get women, no matter what. Well, there are a lot of delusional women out there. And they're the same ones that are whining and complaining in their 30s, especially 40s, that they're all alone. When they had countless guys they could have had something meaningful with, and nope, kept rejecting because they thought they were so amazing. I know some like this. As a result, the Southwestern gent said that if he's ever going to meet the girls of his dreams, she's going to have to make the first move. He says, I don't see anything wrong with the notion that women should approach men for dates, citing gender equality as the basis of his position. I know there's the argument that men used to go to war, but now women go to war, so why can't they do the approaching? There you go. And yes, many will approach. As they get older, they approach. Levi such and such, 37 years old, backs this belief, thinking that it's time for women to step up the romantic plate. It says, I recently went out with a woman who was not my type. Not the type of girl I typically go for, but she opened up a conversation with me. It was great, and I got her phone number. He's a stand-up comedian and podcaster, and he told the Post, I thought it was awesome that she did the approaching. See? Now, unfortunately, sometimes the women that do the approaching tend to be a little more on their masculine side. So if you don't like that, then that's going to be a problem. Not all, but he says, if you go up and say anything to a guy you think is cute, he's going to be like, holy shit, this is the boldest woman I ever met in my life, added the Canadian. The professional funny man and podcaster reiterated his call to action online, saying, men, we need to stop approaching women altogether. Women, it's your turn. Well, many guys are no longer approaching them, and they're having little temper tantrums. I did a video back in July, I think a lot of you guys saw it, where it was a few clips of this woman. She's British, and she's out on the town on a Friday or Saturday night dressed up, and she was bitching because guys weren't approaching her and having a tantrum about it. It was a big post. It was in the New York Post, New York Times, about guys not approaching them, and they're fed up about it. That's why. That attitude. So you can approach us. It says here, I was taught I was taught that if we walk into a room of 100 women, 99 aren't going to be that into me, he added, but one of them will be, and she'll let me know it. All I have to do is not F it up. And that is the end of the article, but right there, you can't blame guys. And like I stand by this. There's a lot of things guys can do to help their situation. If they're going up all fucking nervous as all hell, be like, hi, you want to go on a date? And they're all nervous, or I don't mean to bother you. One of those types, Your Majesty. Of course they're going to get rejected. It'll disgust women how some of these guys act. But then again, you can't blame guy being like, oh boy, if I say hello to her and she's going to think I'm harassing her and she's going to make a big scene. There's a balance there. But anyhow, I don't blame the vast majority of guys at all for that, given, again, you can be rejected so many times in a nasty way, and you're like, you're done. But do know this, guys. You take care of yourself, you focus on your purpose and your grind, and this is if you're a relationship type of guy. Down the road, you're going to be the one doing the rejecting. You're going to have a good time doing this. But yes, they ought to do some approaching of the guys too, because again, we're in the era of equality, so they can do that. Now, here's the second part. I'm going to read some comments here. These are pretty good. The whole comments, lots and lots of comments from guys chiming in, all ages, walks of life on this. And it stands by that, what I've been saying. One guy says here, I never bothered trying to chat at women. What I noticed is that as I moved from my 20s towards 30s, they would always make the move on me. Here we go. I would flirt and try to make them laugh or tease them a little bit, but then they had to make their first move. I think they actually enjoyed the challenge, and then there was the biological clock ticking away in the background and working in my favor. It ticked louder with each passing year, and the approaches by women seemed to go with it. See, right there. Now, the only drawback to that is usually by then they're their late 20s or 30s, and, well, let's be honest here, a lot of guys, when they're older, they're like, I don't want them in their 30s. Not that you can't have good-looking gals in their 30s, but you get my point. Another guy says here, at least for the last 20 years and possibly longer, women have told men that they are not needed and they do not want to be approached by men in public places. Men are doing as they are told. The reality is that women want to be approached by men, but only the men they find attractive. Ding, ding, ding. Top 5, 10%. Read the statement 10 times. Remember, women have stated openly they dislike public approach tactics. If a man does approach, he risks a harassment charge from the civil police. Women are lonely because the men they are choosing do not want them for long-term commitment. Right, if they all want the top 5, 10% of guys, guess what? Mathematically, that's impossible. But still, doesn't matter. They're still going to... And the funny thing is when you have just average chicks still chasing the top 5 to 10%. That's the funny part. Another one, this guy says, that's because Gen Z women that get approached by a male who isn't somebody they instantly like launch into this crazy human resources mode where they start protesting using the same mannerisms and slogans and tone of human resources as that person giving a stern warning to an employee who has seriously broken the rules. I witnessed it. They very nearly accuse the guy of sexual harassment and vocally label him as a creep right on the spot. The other Gen Z guys observe this time and time again and become terrified, so they learn never approach females. Right there. These guys are really nailing it. Again, women are their own worst enemies. And one more. This guy says, women define what's offensive and harassment, not by the approach, but whether she's attracted to the one making the move. There is no respective decline. Either she's into him and he really can't go wrong, or she doesn't find him attractive at all, in which case he's essentially a criminal who should have known that he's beneath her, and no matter how polite he may be, he's a creep, and makes her feel unsafe. It's that simple. You better know with certainty that she's attracted to you or expect to be reported to anyone she can get into inflict punishment on the offender. As anyone with sufficient experience knows, generally, giving women exactly what they say they want is not the most often wrong, but they'll get angry at the man who doesn't anticipate her needs and instead takes her words literally. So there you go. And there must have been 400 plus comments on that, even though this article is just a couple days old, from guys all over the place saying pretty much the same thing. So again, the gals are their worst enemy in this department. And if they want guys to approach them, well, we know the fine line. We know the devil in the details. It is all about the type of guy out there. So if you're a dating and relationship guy, understand this, and you're realistic and know that, hey, you're average looking guy, but you're not fucking Brad Pitt in his prime or George Clooney in his prime or whoever the fuck women think are amazing. Understand this, it's probably going to happen to you, and if you don't want to approach them, That's your business. But understand in time, you take care of yourself, they're going to be coming after you. But they'll be certainly complaining about the whole way that no guy approaches them. But they're their own worst enemy, and you can't blame guys. But if you are going to do it, guys, have some balls, have some confidence. Don't apologize to go up and approach somebody. That's going to turn them the fuck off real quick. And like that first guy in the beginning of this article, you can tell he's a typical nice guy. And even if he looked like fucking Brad Pitt, they reject his ass given that behavior. So don't do that. Anyhow, guys, I thought that'd be a good one here, reflecting of the times. All right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And, guys, you find a good article or a personal story you want to send to me, send it my way, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. And if it's a good one, I'll definitely cover it. And be sure to like the video, share it with your friends, and subscribe. I'll catch you next time.